All right, y'all. So we got this entitled women stealing millions. Yeah, man. I don't know what's going on, but they get into the bag this year or last year, whenever this happened. But by the time we find out about it, it's too late. Let's see what she did to make millions. I mean, steal millions.
So this horse lady, she has a problem. She really wants to be rich. But unfortunately, she has no way to make that kind of money. She's just a regular woman from a small town. And one day in 1990, she figures out exactly how she's gonna do it. She's gonna rob the city. Now, her name is Rita, and Rita's 37, and she's living in the small town of Dixon, Illinois, and she works in City Hall as the treasurer and comptroller, which basically means she controls this little city's finances. And because she controls the finances, she decides to divert some of that money to herself. So she goes and she opens a secret bank account in the city's name, and no one knows this account exists. And she starts funneling the city's money into that account, tens of thousands of dollars at a time. And within the first year, she has stolen $181,000.
Mind you, a controller salary is high. A controller is a few steps above like an accountant, a CPA. Then you might have like a director of something, but a controller controls city budgets, states, and federal. Big money. That's probably about her salary right there, 100 and some thousand, maybe even 200,000. She being greedy. Let's see what happened next.
Bad. And of course, Rita's got to take this money and spend it on some bullshit. Like she treats herself to a shopping spree, she buys some $3,000 diamond earrings, she buys a $19,000 pontoon boat with a barbecue grill and a whole ass bar on it. Oh, and she doesn't stop there. Over the next 2 years, she funnels even more of the city's money into the account. So now she's up to over $300,000 that she's taken. And still, no one notices because she's the treasurer and comptroller. So she just keeps going. Over the next decade, she takes more and more of that money and she spends it on herself. And she buys all kinds of stuff. She buys Versace glasses, $3,000 worth of jewelry, an entire furniture set for her living room. And then 2 years later, she steals more and she buys herself a golf cart and a quarter horse and a $7,000 custom saddle for that horse. And a year after that, she buys a new truck and a second boat, because you gotta have two boats, plus $100,000 motorhome to travel around in. And
Sarah is all about making her community healthier through education and engagement.
And a year or so after that, she spends $125,000 on yet another horse. Then she spends $500,000 remodeling her home.
She must be somewhere in Florida or something like who, or somewhere where it's a lake. Boats and horses, bro? Fuck.
She adds a pool and a sauna. Rita is out of control with this spending. Here's the thing though. At this point, she's been pulling this scam for over a decade, and still, no one working at City Hall has caught on. Which is weird because her salary, the salary that the city pays her, is only $80,000 a year. So you'd think at least some people would be like, where the hell is Rita getting all this money for like new horses and shit? Because
That's why she's scamming them. A controller. She's making what a CPA makes. Out and I don't know what state she in, but in California, an accountant makes anywhere between 75 to 80. Controllers out here, you can look it up on the state websites and stuff like that. Bigger state, bigger budget, I guess. She must be from a small town or something, man. 80,000 is low for a controller. A nice salary for an average person, but low for a controller nonetheless. Let's get into it.
a big chunk of what Rita buys herself are new horses. I mean, this woman loves horses, and so she starts buying herself tons of them. And she's always traveling around the country in her $100,000 motorhome to compete in like horse shows, because I guess that's her thing. And she actually wins a lot of these horse shows. Here she is winning one of them, here she is winning another, and here's another. And just for fun, here she is drunk holding up a sign that says, "It's good to be queen." Meanwhile, this whole time, the city that she works for is running out of money. They're in tons of debt, and they don't have sufficient funds for things like they can't afford to replace broken traffic lights. They can't afford wheelchair ramps. They have to make cuts to the fire department and the police department, and they cut some of the funding for ambulances. You know, shit that people need. And Rita oversees the budget, so she knows the city's broke and that all these cuts are happening, but she doesn't give a damn. In fact, when the city's lack of funds ever comes up, she'll always suggest that they just make more budget cuts. And the whole time, she keeps on spending so that she can travel around and win more horse shows. She buys herself more cars and more horses. She buys herself a whole ass ranch to keep all these new horses in. She upgrades to a new motorhome. This one costs $2 million. And still, no one in City Hall and no one in this town is like, how in the hell is this city worker driving around in a $2 million motorhome? And to make it worse, Rita's wealth, it kind of shows. It's not like she's hiding it well. I mean, look at this picture. She's got on the rhinestone cowboy jacket and what looks like several diamond necklaces. Even the names of her horses are all suspect as hell. They got names like I'm Money Too, Have Faith in Money, Money's Moxie, Money is Hot, Jewels by Tiffany, Packin' Jewels. And by the way, those are the real names of her horses. I didn't make any of those up. And so by 2006, Rita has been funneling money from the city's budget into her own secret bank account for 15 years. And at this point, she's stolen almost $26 million.
I don't know why he talking like this is some phenomenon. Every state, every city got this going on. Best believe it. And if they're not directly funneling it, they're creating fake issues to then hire out people to do stuff so that they can get paid. For instance, you might see a road being repaved that don't need to be repaved so somebody can get paid. You know? You hear about budget cuts all the time. These niggas, well, you'll hear a budget cut happen, but I bet you their lifestyle didn't deplete none. They still gonna get gas for that Lambo. They still gonna fly them private planes. You know what I'm saying? And buy these horses, dog. This shit crazy. But you vote for these people, though.
And she is not gonna stop. She keeps stealing more and more and spending it on herself. She spends $5.6 million and buys a house in Florida, and she adds an elevator. She buys a new horse trailer. She buys 2 new cars, so now she has over a dozen cars. And yes.
So she in Florida. I thought so. Water and horses? I mean, you gotta have enough ranch life and water. This bitch was living it.
She buys even more horses, which means at this point in time, Rita has bought herself over 300 horses. So while the city is crumbling, she's just like, oh, guess I'll just buy myself another horse. So by 2009, she's stolen more than $40 million from the city's budget.
Damn.
$40 million. Just one bank transfer at a time. The thing is,
That's a worse crime than a killer to me, man. I ain't gonna lie, because $40 million is killing a lot of people. People that can't get jobs, if they're not able to pay for things to get fixed, you can't pay for people to go work. You know what I'm saying? The honest salary, that honest day's work, people not getting hired out. Because of a bitch like this, and this is running rampant in every sector of our government, from top to bottom, I guarantee it. Damn what I do. $2 million is crazy. 300 horses is wild. $40 million.
The Eaton fire has devastated a vibrant community. At Edelson PC, our attorney
$1 million from the city's budget. $40 million. Just one bank transfer at a time. The thing is, because she controls the city's funds, she's gotten really good at covering her tracks. Like, she makes all kinds of fake invoices so that every expense looks legit. Even the secret bank account that she funnels all the money into, she names it the Reserve Sewer Capital Development Account, which not only sounds official and boring, it sounds like it's connected to the city's sewer system. And no one's gonna second guess a bank account that holds the money to pay for the city's sewer. Until it all starts to fall apart. Because Rita is around 58 years old at this point, and she's still embezzling city money, and she ain't slowing down anytime soon. Like, here she is at a party in a white fur coat, just looking rich as fuck. So one day in 2011, Rita decides to take a little trip. She's going to be gone for a few months because she has to go compete in a bunch of these horse shows. While she's gone from work, this woman has to step in. And her nickname is Swan, so that's what we'll call her. And so Rita's gone and Swan is there filling in, and she's done this a million times for Rita. Every time Rita goes to horse shows, Swan will fill in. Now, normally when Swan needs bank records for something, she calls the bank and she tells them the account, and the bank faxes over the records. But on this particular day, I guess she's too busy to be specific or something, so she calls the bank and asks for the records, and the bank's like, "Which account?" And Swan's like, "Just send all the records. Just send them all." Now, the bank is supposed to send over the records for the 6 bank accounts the city has with them. But in fact, the bank sends over the records for 7 bank accounts. So Swan is like, 7 bank accounts? I thought we only had 6. And she notices one of them is an account for the city's sewer system. And she knows the city ain't got no bank account for the funds for the sewer. So she immediately knows some fraud is going on. And so she takes this info to the city's mayor. And the mayor is like, "Yep, looks like fraud." And so he alerts the FBI. And 6 months later, the feds swoop into City Hall and bam, they arrest Rita. Here's her mugshot. And so, after more than 20 years, Rita had stolen over $53 million. And she goes to trial, and she's found guilty, and she gets sentenced to 20 years in prison. But after 8 years, the president commutes her sentence, and she's out now. So, it's crazy.
She should have at least did a 10 piece for the fraud, man. I honestly think she should have did the whole 20 because she's in a position of power like that, and it would take a liberal ass fucker like Biden to free that bitch. You know what I'm saying? It's people that work on the bottom that do fraud that do a whole 12. You know what I'm saying? If they get to 20 or 30, they end up doing 12, 10 to 12. You know what I'm saying? I want to know who her husband was. He didn't really talk much about her background. There's more to that story for sure. Absolutely more to that story. Somebody else knew she was doing that shit. You can't be rich and have fun by yourself. It gotta be somebody else to, you know what I'm saying? It gotta be a couple more people.